You know, one of my phrases that I love that people say is when you have the choice to believe the video or the audio, believe the video, right? And in this case, believe what we saw of Vita Vea, like for the last couple weeks, man. Like this was a guy who allegedly wanted to be traded, you know? But how do you act if you want to be traded, you know? Do you pal around with teammates? Do you go out there wearing your jersey and hold blocking dummies? Do you look as if you were just injured and can't practice? Like nothing in Vita's body language or his attendance made you think that he really wanted out of here. And guess what? He didn't. And so after what amounted to pretty crafty 3-week veteran vacation, if you will, during the heat of training camp, Vita agreed to make $30 million extra dollars of new money in his contract. So here's what they did. And this is what we talked about, Steve. Like his contract was going to pay him around 18 million. All right. They chipped him up 6 million, got him to 24 million, and then they added another year also at 24 million. So bringing the total, to 2 years, 48, and they got him signed now through 2027. And at what point he'll be like 33 years old when he's done with that contract. And Vita Vea is back in the fold, and he's got a couple of 3 weeks to get himself into shape and get ready to play. So this is I think we talked about it. This is exactly where we thought it would end up. And for all the posturing and saber rattling about trade and stuff like that, you get the big guy in for about the money we expected.
Well, and this was the only possible solution.
Yeah.
Because the Bucs were not going to trade him. That became apparent.
Yep.
And Vita Vea, if you weren't going to give him a raise, if you were going to force him to play under the $17 million this year, you're going to have a really unhappy guy.
Mm-hmm.
That chess piece that can't be replaced, according to Todd Bowles.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get this deal done. It cost you a little more this year, but you only extend him for 1 year. And at his age, that's probably what you want.
Sure.
You're not willing to extend Baker more than 2 years.
Exactly.
So, you weren't going to extend Vita more than 2 for sure, but probably 1 is about right. So this is the best possible outcome. This is the deal that was there to be had.
There to be made, yeah.
Could it have been had 2 weeks ago? Possibly. But, there might have also been some veteran moves there. First 2 weeks of training camp.
I think it's a veteran move because, frankly, I mean, if I'm 31 years old and I weigh excess of 355, 60 pounds, I don't need this much time to get ready. I mean, he's been working out with Ndamukong Suh. He's been doing stuff to stay in shape. No, he's not in football shape, and he hasn't had on any pads. Todd Bowles kind of gave it away, to be honest with you. Todd had said, when do you start getting worried? He goes, well, if he's not in here by the second or third preseason game. All right, well, the second preseason game is upon us. They're going to play Saturday. He won't play in that, obviously, but he'll have a chance to at least get ready. I don't know that they'll play him in the third. And then there's a week in between the third preseason game and the week of the regular season, so you'll have that whole week. They usually take about 4 days off on the weekend, get those guys' legs back, and then they come back in on Monday for a bonus day, Tuesday off, Wednesday, and prepare for their first game in Cincinnati. So he'll have, a good full 3 weeks before they kick it off against the Bengals. And that's about what he needs, It's about what he needs. So this has worked out great, I think, for Vita. And in the end, good for the Bucs too, because they would have gone from the possibility of being a very good defense to just a okay defense. With Vita Vea in the middle of that defense, occupying 2 blockers on every play, next to Kalijah Cansey or A'Shawn Robinson, and then you put those defensive edge rushers with Reuben Bain Jr., Yaya Diaby, and then you have, the linebackers, Josiah Trotter, Alex Anzalone, however they mix it up there. That front 7 is going to be extremely hard to run against. No one, listen to me now, no one, if they're healthy, is going to run against that football team with that front 7. They're just not. And so if you can dictate down the distance, if you can get teams to third and long, now you can, let Todd Bowles do what he does best, dial up pressures and things like that. That's how the defense is going to work. Could they have played without him? Yes. Was it been sustainable? No. You may have to play without him anyway. You may get hurt at some point during the season. But all the, Nunez Rocheses and guys that you brought in here, the Ashawn Robinsons and such, even David Walker, if he moved inside, they're not going to hold up for 17, 18 weeks. And so, I think this is a nice start, a clean start, one that was, sort of predictable. And I think, the whole thing is that, man, he's extremely happy in Tampa. Like there was never a sense of, oh man, I can't believe I have to go out here and, and hold the bags and, pretend like I'm into it. And, the guy was joking with everybody, waiting for the process to take place. And his agent, I think, played it about as good as he could. And at some point, the Bucs called him and said, all right, this is where we thought the deal was going to end up. And you take it or leave it. I mean, you get an extra year, you get $30 million of new money, $6 million this year, $24 million next year. And, you're not in the top 10, you're probably top 15 highest paid because of the new deals that have been done. But you got to be pretty happy with that. You make $48 million in the next 2 years, at 31 and 32 years old. Not bad in this league, or in any league for that matter. So I'm glad it's behind them. We'll talk to Vita Vea, I think, later today. If he does, in fact, if he signs his contract in the morning, we'll have a chance to talk to him in the afternoon. And I'm happy for him. Like, he's one of the really good guys. And I go back, when he was drafted, it was not a popular pick. Defensive tackles, unless you're Warren Sapp, typically aren't, guys that people get fired up about. But they didn't get fired up about Vita because, he played at Washington. We didn't get to see a lot of him in college. And they also passed on Derwin James, who was a Florida State kid. Am I right about that? I want to say. But anyway, James was well known, and he ended up, I think, going to the Chargers. But Vita Vea was taken, and everybody was like, man, what's Jason Licht doing? This big 355-pound plus defensive tackle. And then you put on the tape, you see him in high school as a running back, for God's sakes, and those great feet, and just you get him in a building and you realize, man, this guy is going to anchor our defense for a lot of years. And I think he's one of the best players in the league at his position. I don't think there's any question about that. If you put him on the Dallas Cowboys or the 49ers or Seattle, he's going to help them win a Super Bowl. So defense has gotten much better. Vita's happy. And then now I got this question. I was talking to some guys on ESPN radio. What does this mean now? Is Baker Mayfield next?
Well, and I was going to bring that up. Is there now a deal to be had for Baker where you bump him up this year, 10, 15 million? He's making 40?
Making 40 this year, yeah.
So get him up to 50, 52, maybe it's 10 or 12 million.
Right.
And then extend him for 2 years guaranteed at the same 52, 53, whatever. Is that something Baker would consider? And would the Bucs consider it? I don't know. Baker may be sold on 3 years, but if you bump this year up to a higher number, maybe he takes 2 more years on top. I don't know.
I think there's always been a deal to be made. And when I talked to Baker in New Jersey and we talked about, this deadline that he set, and he told me, he goes, I didn't need it for me. The deadline was never about me. He goes, we could have continued negotiating. I'm going to go out there and play no matter what. I'm happy here. I have a contract. Like, my agent and them he goes, what I didn't want was this to be a conversation in that locker room every day. And, people asking teammates about it. And then, you didn't want anyone in that locker room to question his effort if he didn't have a deal. Like, oh, well, he's negotiating and therefore he was like, no, man, I just wanted to remove that and say, okay, you got till the start of training camp. and then once we're there, I'm just going to play what I have on. But at no point did he feel like he needed it. He made it clear this was never about me. I was going to be good either way. Talk, don't talk, didn't bother me. I was going to ball, but he didn't want his teammates to be caught up in that debate, and so he kind of removed it. But yeah, if they call his age, if they call Tom Mills and they say, look, we got a deal for you, we're going to bump him up this year, chip him up, much like they did Vita Vea, and he goes from 40 million to 50 something million. I think the biggest difference is that while Vita was willing to accept just a 1 year on top of this year's contract, you get spiced up this year by 6 million. But Baker's whole objection to the offer was it's only 2 years. Now he has this year under contract, but he only would have 2 more years. And in his mind, franchise quarterbacks don't get signed to 2-year deals, and not when they're 31 years old. So he had come down from 4 years to 3, and they wouldn't even meet him there. They wanted to just give him 2 years. So until or unless they agree, I think, to add a year, I'm not sure Baker does anything. 'Cause in a sense, the Bucs win either way because if he has a great year, they're going to franchise him, and they can do that twice. So that's their 2-year extension right there. They're protected, and he'll make over 50 million, but it's not guaranteed right now. In some ways, just from a financial standpoint, I don't know that this is a great decision by him. Because what are you gonna? What's play it out? Say you do. Say you go out there and you play great and you win a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, they're not going to let you get to free agency. They're going to franchise you at just a little bit under 50 million, which you've been offered, from what I understand, more than 50 million. So they get you back for that year, and you play great again. They're going to do the same thing again, as the second one's going to be much higher. But nonetheless, you've not become a free agent. You've gotten about the same money. What did you really prove? All you're doing is you can bet on yourself, but you don't have anything for next year. Like, if you go out there and get hurt, or you go out there and something bad happens, they don't have a contract with you, and you don't have a contract with anyone else. So he's always bet on himself. I understand that, but this is an unforgiving game. So I think there is a deal to be made for Baker, but I don't know that they're going to get to 3 years for him. I don't know they're going to do this year and 2 more. I just don't know how that's going to work. I mean, that's pretty much what they offered him. Are they going to add a 3rd year? Could be. I don't know. But you could structure it. You could have a club option. Like, there's things, but certainly he has their focus, right? Like, there's no other sort of contract thing. I mean, we talked to Chase McLaughlin today. He'd like to have a new deal. He's at the end of his contract, and he's one of the premier kickers in the NFL. And those guys, they're at the top, 5% or whatever, are making over $6 million a year. So he said, he came right out and said, I'd like to have an extension, but, and I saw this in the release too. The Bucs are, and this isn't revisionist history. It's true. They had a couple lines in there about how they've always drafted, developed, and then rewarded their players. Once they got to free agency, and for the most part, their best players, they've done exactly that. They've done it twice with Chris Godwin. There's several players that they've signed 2 contracts with, but it's not always on the timing that maybe the player wants. Some guys, Mike Evans, had to play out his option. There's been other players that went into contract years, and before they got to free agency the next year, they were re-signed. So this isn't unusual, but for a quarterback, you'd like to have him locked up. And I know they feel about Baker at quarterback the same way they felt about Vita, but they're both on the other side of 30. And, I think that they're afraid of, him not playing well, getting hurt, what have you. And then for the next 3 years, they're in, kind of a salary cap pickle because they committed all this money to him, like Tua Tagovailoa or, someone like that, Kirk Cousins or whatever. So it's weird, but yeah, there's a part of me that says, okay, and we'll talk to Jason Light maybe today. I don't know. But it'll be a good question. Like, okay, you got that one done. Now do Baker. Like, what would possibly keep you? And the answer is it takes two. But how many times did I hear from Vita's agent that, well, it looks like it's going to go down to a trade then? And it was never, I never felt that he was going to be traded. I knew the Bucs weren't going to trade him, and I never felt that Vita ever wanted out of here.
It's all a negotiation. It always is.
Yeah, it's all part of it. All right, so that's done. We've got a couple more days of practice, and before long they'll be ready for their preseason game.
We got Bucs players trying to go back to college.
We do. That's a weird story. And man, how screwed up is the NCAA and college sports in general at this point, right? Like just absolutely crazy. So Jack Pryburn, who I wrote about the other day, he had 2 sacks in the first preseason game. Kid that went 3 years to the University of Florida, I think 1 year to LSU, wasn't drafted. Numbers are okay in college, but he looks like he's a pretty good player. He says that, he did not get out of his college career what he should have. He puts that on himself. But that aside, he's got a chance to make this. I don't think he's going to make the 53, only because the numbers are so bad. The outside linebacker depth is pretty big on this team. And so, you drafted Ruben Bain, he's going to make the team. Alquin Muhammad, he's going to make the team. You look at the other side, you got Yaya Diaby, he's on it. Anthony Nelson, he's on it. David Walker, he's on it. That's 6 outside linebackers. I haven't gotten to Chris Braswell, who's probably going to get cut. So special teams will determine a lot of that. He does play special teams, but he had 2 sacks in his first NFL game, and says that, in college he felt like he didn't max out the way he needed to, and then that he's kind of recommitted himself to process, getting off social media, all this stuff. Well, now comes a court decision that says him and 15 other players can go back to college and have 1 more year of eligibility. So what do you do if you're kind of a long shot to make an NFL roster? You could still make the practice squad, and that pays damn near $300,000 a year. I think the Bucs gave him $115,000. I think only 15 of that or so is guaranteed. So, we'll see like whether that sticks. But and talking to the Bucs, they think he wants to stay, and they think that there's a chance he would stay even if he was on the practice squad. What would you do in that situation? Undrafted, you could improve your draft. You can only improve your draft stock, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, but your practice squad spot isn't guaranteed either.
No, it's not.
I mean, you're really trying to just hope that in the preseason you put enough tape out there that another team wants to take a flyer on you on their roster. I mean, or you could stay on a practice squad, but how far does he think his draft stock can improve?
Well, from not drafted to drafted, it doesn't mean he'll be a top
right. But like a 7th round pick next year or a 6th round pick next year isn't guaranteeing you a spot on any roster.
No, but if he thought he could go back to LSU and kill it and have 10 sacks and become a 2nd rounder, obviously the money's going to be better.
Yes,
but the guy, he's gotten a taste of pro football. They like him. He's in the building. You go back to LSU, you can also get hurt. Whatever NIL money you're getting, that's your salary. You're not getting, forget about college scholarships and things like that. So from a financial standpoint, I mean, you're already a pro. I would think, and I don't know this, but I would think that once you got a taste of the NFL, and once you see like, okay, I can make it here, like it's going to take me a little bit, but I can make a practice squad. And for the most part, if you're on a practice squad, especially this franchise, almost every year at some point, those guys are going to end up on the active roster. Now it's up to, them sometimes to stay there, but you got a pretty good shot. And, and it's pro versus, I mean, you're starting your dream. I mean, he said, this has been his dream and he's living it. And, do you want to go back to school? Do you want to have to go to class somewhat? Do you want to take NIL money versus, NFL? Like, it's all, you're right though. You could get cut tomorrow. You could also get hurt in college and have no protection, from an injury standpoint, from salary standpoint. So tough decision. The Bucs truly don't know what he wants to do. I don't think they've talked to him about it in that vein just yet. But they think that he'll lean towards staying here, even if he's not a guarantee for the 53, and then possibly even agree to want to stay here on the practice squad.
Now, one of the good things here is there's a lot of free agents.
Yes,
in that position group after this season. So
absolutely,
even if you don't get much of a chance this year, if you make the right impression,
sure.
And if you're making that impression, you're probably going to get some spot chances.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, immediately you think about special teams and whether you can run down there and cover kicks. I mean, they're going to need somebody to do that. But guys like Yaya and Ruben Bain. I mean, Yaya is going to be coming up on free agency here pretty soon. I think Braswell is going to wind up getting released. I don't think that even after 2 years, I don't think he has a roster spot. Anthony Nelson's done a couple of contracts already. Who am I forgetting? I mean, you got Alquindin Muhammad that they got from Detroit. He signed a 1-year deal.
Right. Yeah. So he's up at the end of this year.
He's up. So you're going to kind of clear the deck after this season. If you get with these guys, David Walker will be around, and he's a young player. But if you can get a spot even on the practice squad, they're pretty good about being loyal to those guys. And any team in the NFL can take you off any team's practice squad so long as they put you on the active roster. So you can be on the practice squad here and wind up being signed, with the Bears tomorrow. I don't know. It's I don't know his financial decision. I don't know what you would base it on. It sounded to me like the Bucs really want him to stay, which would tell him, hey, I'm probably not going to not at least make the practice squad.
Well, I just want to know, does he really want to go back to being a student athlete?
Ugh. That would be tough. Although these days, college isn't so bad.
Well, I was going to say, Lenora Sanders at South Carolina is not taking any classes this year. All he's doing is interning at a driving range or golf course. That's
really?
His only class this year, and he'll graduate in December.
I thought you used to have to take like minimum of 12 hours or something like that.
I don't. The NCAA has no authority anymore, period.
Apparently not. That's crazy.
Yeah, just going to intern at a golf course. That's his only job or his only schoolwork.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
I mean, it's the minor leagues now. Let's just call it that.
There used to be, remember, what was the name of the movie with Robbie Benson? Played a basketball. It was 100 years ago. He played a basketball player at what was supposed to be like UCLA. And he got paid to tell the guy when the grass was high enough to mow. And that was his job. And then when the coach wanted to get rid of him, he lost his job and his paycheck and everything else, playtime.
But then how do they know when to mow the lawn?
Well, yeah, exactly. Then somebody else got that job. That's a pretty good gig, man.
Yeah.
Hey, the grass is kind of high. You need to cut it. Okay, thanks. And he was also in charge of the watering the sprinklers. And they said, well, what do you have to do there? He goes, well, they're automatic. I don't have to do anything. They're on a timer.
You don't tell people. You tell them you have to do all this stuff.
I know, but that was, and this is like back in the 80s,
Don't tell them it's automatic.
Right. Had a tutor, some co-ed that he dated. It was supposed to be like a UCLA type situation, but college can be fun. I mean, Matt Leinart stayed for about 5 years and still was a top pick. I mean, just depends on what you want your lifestyle to be and which you want to get on with it or not. But nowadays, I mean, guys are 25 years old coming to the NFL.
Yep.
Problem is, if you do, let's say you play that out and you come to the NFL at 24, 25, and you get on an NFL team and you have to play at least 4 years to get to a free agency contract, you're now almost 30 years old, or you are 30 years old in some cases. And guess what? sometimes they don't want to sign 30-year-olds to extensions.
You're not. Well, you may get extension. You're not getting the massive contract. You're not getting 5 years. You're not getting. You're getting 2.
You'll be too damn old.
Yep.
So it's better to get here like Ruben Bain at 22, and you might have two contracts with Tampa Bay, before it's over. So, by the way, that guy is sick. He is just eating up with it. That video went viral, man.
You know who's probably one of the happiest guys today is Ruben Bain Jr.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Vita Vea in the middle of that line now.
And think about Anzalone and the other and Trotter and those guys.
Well, Yaya Diaby should be really happy with
those guards aren't going to be able to reach
Bain
the linebackers. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's going to be. Look, I actually think that their defense is going to be way improved. I think what they did, getting bigger, being able to stop the run with the front seven. I think no one's. If Vita's right and he's healthy, it's going to be extremely hard to run on this defense because they're big, they're fast. They could probably stop you with the front seven with Trotter coming downhill, with Vita protecting the linebackers, Cansey's speed, A'Shawn Robinson inside, his attitude, and Ruben Bain. I mean, that's a tough front seven. And then you drop down to safety once in a while, or Keontae Scott blitzing in here or there.
I just worry about your corners. If you do not get home.
Oh, yeah. They're vulnerable there. That's kind of the weak link of their football team, and especially because the lack of depth, Yep. That's going to be the one to watch. And those guys are, like Benjamin Morrison, I don't think practiced today. I know Zion did not. They've missed a lot of time, and some of it is just trying to get them to, to the start of the regular season. But some of it has just been they've been hurt.
Yep.
So I don't know that to me is their Achilles, is the cornerback position. But if you can stop the run and it's 3rd and long all day, those corners don't have to cover for very long. You're going to be bringing pressure on those quarterbacks when they have to throw. So that's what's going to help them. But it all works with Vita Vea. Like the rest of it would have been like you'd have been playing whack-a-mole. I'm going to get so many snaps out of Nacho. I'm going to get so many snaps out of this one or that one. It would not have been a situation where okay, here's my best 4 down linemen right here, and Vita's always going to be part of that, and he's always going to now you're going to have to game plan for the big guy, and that's going to leave one-on-ones all over the place, and you don't want to be one-on-one. So now we're going to slide some protection maybe to the one side, whether it's Vita Vea's side or Ruben Bain's side, and then the other guy's got one-on-ones off the edge. Like you can't double everybody. And I think what they've done on defense, and Baker echoed this too. He says, "Man, I go against these guys every day," and he goes, "I'm telling you, like this is going to be a damn good defense. Like these guys are hard to play against." And he goes, "And they got that fire, that he has." And that's what he really likes, is that he says, every day these guys just bring it. So I'm happy for Vita. That's Tom Moore's guy, Coach Moore. That's his guy. One of the real gentle giants is Vita Vea at this game. I mean, he just super cool kid. Not a kid now, grown ass man, but that's who you root for. And the Bucs are right to puff their chest out a little bit. They have rewarded their guys. They've taken care of their people, and they just did it again. So that's the signal you want to send to the rest of the team in that locker room. And I think they'll all be happy for him. All right, we'll talk about the Rays here in just a second. They get another nervy win. Man, the pitching's getting beat up a little bit here of late at the Trop. First, want to remind you guys to get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. That's our sponsors. That's where you're going to find some of the best Swiss watches ever made. The Breitling Company, been in business over 140 years, been at International Plaza for 6 years. Now, where are you going to find it? Center of the mall, 2nd floor. That's where the Breitling Boutique is. Check out the men's watches, the Navitimers, the Chronomets that they're known for. Also watches for your women, for your wife, your girlfriend. They have sports watches that are beautiful, tons of different colored wristbands to choose from, and elegant watches for her as well. And while supplies last, folks, this is what you want to see. The NFL 32 team watches celebrating the NFL's 106th now anniversary. And they are gorgeous chronomat watches for men. They have the team colors inside the face of the watch, the logo as well. Also have them in sports watch variety. You have to get there. You have to see them. It's Breitling Boutique. It's at International Plaza. When you go, please let them know you heard about it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. So what has happened with the Rays pitching? All of a sudden, teams are, or at least Toronto, has swung the bats extremely well. It's really
Baltimore
gotten
did
in.
too.
Yeah. Baltimore did, obviously winning 3 out of 4. And the long ball is starting to hurt the Rays a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Well, you hope, I guess, it's just kind of the dog days of August,
Mm-hmm.
and you just kind of hit on a wall a little bit.
Dead arm time.
Second win.
Some dead arms. Yeah.
You know, look, baseball's a long season.
Oh God, yeah.
You're gonna have spells where you're really hot. You're gonna have spells where you are really cold. Right now, their pitching is struggling. I mean, they got a huge lead today. What was it, 7-1?
They're up 7-1, and I thought the game was over. And then I turn it on, they're losing at one point.
No, they weren't losing. But Rasmussen gave up 4 runs, and then they gave up another one. And
so they always had the lead, but it was like 1 run at some point. They went up winning by 1, I think.
Yep. Yeah. So
Toronto 76 is that the
Toronto
final?
made some errors that weren't errors. Scherzer was not happy.
Oh, really?
Well, outfielder lost the ball. Like, he was running the wrong way trying to catch the ball in the outfield. He never saw it on a routine.
I got to be honest with you, man. There's nothing routine at the Trop.
Yep. But Scherzer was mad.
He's not good anymore, though. Like, look at his record and his ERA.
No, but to be honest, I'd been mad too if I was him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not as demonstrative as he was, but I'd be mad. Like,
yeah.
You know, you had the bases loaded there. They should have got out of the inning. They allowed 2 runs to score. And they're earned runs because there's no error because he was nowhere near the ball.
Yeah.
It's one thing if your outfielder gets the error on it and your runs aren't earned.
It's going on your ledger, and he's got his ERA's damn near 7.
Yep. But the Rays pull it out or hold on. Baker gets a save again.
Baker's like, what, 27-27, something like that? His last 27?
I think
he's on
20,
a run.
It's 25 now in a row, I think.
25 in a row, yeah.
Yep.
He's on a heater.
Yeah.
Also, whether it was did Yandy homered again, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
So he tied B.J. Upton.
Yes.
For like 5th place all time.
By the way, there's 3 players on the team right now, even at this rough stretch. Granted, they've been hitting at least. There's 3 players that are now riding 10-game hitting streaks.
3 with 10-game hitting streak?
Yes.
Let me see if I can guess. Aranda?
Nope.
No. Wow. Okay. Yandy?
Yep.
And not Aranda. Not Mullins. Richie Palacios?
Nope.
Oh, okay, I give. Tell me.
Chandler Simpson.
Oh, okay.
And Taylor Walls.
Taylor Walls has a 10-game hitting streak?
Yes, he does.
My man.
Yes.
Good for T. Walls.
Yeah, 10-game hitting streak.
Damn. Well, you take that, man.
I mean, the way they were losing against Baltimore, you never really would have looked at, hitting streaks, but they actually have 3 of them at double digits now.
They've been swinging the bats. That's the thing. Yeah. Like they're hitting the ball and scoring a lot of runs, and that's what's so weird is that, they're giving up more than they're scoring right now. The pitching is just kind of hit a wall a little bit. But it is the dog days.
There was a while there where the pitching was holding them in games because the offense was putrid.
Carried them. Yeah.
I mean, they had won three games by shutout on a homestand, including 2-1-0 games. Right now, the hitting is, I mean, they're struggling a little bit in the record. I mean, they lost 3 or 4 to Baltimore, split the first 2 with Toronto, but it's the hitting that's keeping them in it because it ain't the pitching right now. So,
well, we're sitting here on August 19th. You're almost through this one, and then you'll be in. I think once you get the last month of the regular season, September, you guys can start to see the finish line, get that second wind.
Yep. I mean, so you got one more against Toronto today.
Yep.
Then you'll go to Baltimore this weekend,
which they just took you 3 out of 4 on at home.
Which Baltimore's not helping the Rays because they're losing. They keep losing to the Yankees.
Yeah, they can't beat the Yankees.
Pete Alonso had a go-ahead home run that went over the foul pole, and they called it foul. It looked fair.
Ooh.
And they replayed. They went to a challenge or
Ooh.
review, and they said stands.
Oh. Crusher. Yeah, they could do the Rays some favors for sure. But at least they're swinging the bats, and they've lengthened the lineup a little bit.
Yep.
Hicks has been playing really well. I mean, they.
Oh yeah, and they made so Victor Mesa goes on the IL.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And they called up catcher Piper, so they have 3 catchers on the roster now.
Really?
Yeah. Which, what I think this allows.
Is he going to DH or something?
I don't think he's going to DH because Yandy's there.
All right.
But when he's not playing, it allows them to use him as a pinch hitter earlier in a game.
Okay.
Because if you're the last catcher,
you usually got to hold your guy back because you don't have.
You're usually not pinch hitting in the 5th inning if you need it. If that's the situation.
Huh.
So if Fortes is playing or Piper's playing, you could use Hicks earlier in the game if you choose to as a pinch hitter. Because you got a 3rd catcher now, so it gives you a lot of flexibility right now.
Very rare to have 3 catchers on the on the roster.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll be a long-term thing.
Yeah.
I think part of it was they didn't really have anybody else to call. They wanted to call up,
right?
As far as outfielder goes, so you've got Simpson and Mullins and DeLuca and Valade, and Palacios can play out there if you need. But
do they still expand the rosters in September?
By 1 pitcher, 1 hitter, yes.
That's it, right? Yep. Used to be, you know.
You go from 26 to 28 now.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's something at least.
Yep. So I'd be curious how long they do this, but it gives them a little more flexibility with Hicks's bat when he's not catching. So
they've been really good at home until this last homestand and then losing 3 out of 4 to the Orioles, and so far they've split. I guess they've split here in this series, right?
Yeah, so far 1-1, yep.
Okay. Game 3 today.
Seymour on the bump today, yes. Day game today.
Seymour's been great. He's, after a shaky start, he's really, really settled in and done a nice job. So, man, it's a long – and I was thinking about this the other day. I was somewhere on the Veterans, I was thinking about baseball and just like, what an incredible grind. Like, I played it. I love baseball, and I played every day, but, like, every day, And look, these guys are living a dream, right? Like this is, getting paid to play a children's game, but nonetheless, physically, emotionally, it's a grind.
All the sports are.
They're so long. I mean, hockey, if you win a Stanley Cup, you're playing till June.
By the way, speaking of hockey, the Lightning's first preseason game is a month from today.
Wow. Well, I would say that came fast, but it really didn't because they didn't make the postseason. So,
well, they made the postseason. Give them some credit.
They went down. Yeah,
they lost in the first round. I mean,
okay, they did make the postseason. You're right. It was a short stay. I think they were done playing early May, late April, something like that.
It was like May 3rd, I think.
It was a long time, man. They've been off a long time. Let's go.
It's only been 3 months. I mean, the other sports get baseball and NFL get more time than that.
Well, yeah. The players do.
Yeah.
The coaches and the people that cover the teams don't.
No, that's true.
I assure you that. There's something every month in the NFL.
But yeah, hockey 1 month from today at Benchmark International Arena. Preseason.
Ready for some hockey, man. Really am. I hope they're good this year.
They should be. I mean,
but they're going to get in the postseason and have to play somebody that's great in their division. So,
well, I think you're hoping for, you lost Aaron Radish, but you replaced him with John Carlson. That's kind of a wash.
Mm-hmm.
You did lose Nick Paul, but you have young guys like Dominic James that have been stepping up and doing more.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to look for Connor Geeky to take another step this year. I think the key is one, health, of course, particularly like Vasilevsky and Kucherov.
Well, you get Hedman back, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hedman. How will he return? But honestly, you don't need Hedman to be the Hedman of 5 years ago. If he is, fantastic, great. But you don't. I mean, you could go out there with your top pair being John Carlson, J.J. Moser. Your second pair is McDonough and Chernak. Then Hedman's on your third pair. Now, he's probably going to get more than third pair minutes. He'll see some other situations, but
that's pretty good.
Now, who's going to run the power play? That's going to be a question. Is it John Carlson? Is it Victor Hedman?
Mm-hmm.
John Carlson gives you a right-handed shot there like Radish did.
Yep. You
And
miss those radish bombs, man.
Which Carlson's got a good shot, not quite as powerful as Radish, but he's got a heavy shot as well. But are you going to run Carlson out there so Cooch has that right-handed shot there again, just like last year?
Hell yeah,
it'll be interesting. And then, to me, the biggest X factor for the Lightning is, does Braden Point have a bounce back year?
Well, he has to,
because he did not have a good year last year. Now, he was hurt for part of it, but he claims the rest of the time he wasn't hurt. He just did not have a good season.
Well, that's scary. Then that means something else was going on.
Well, and you hope that motivates him, pushes him, and we'll see how he does this year, right?
Well, we saw a lot of fire from Braden Point.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
I mean, from Hagel. I'm sorry, from Hagel.
Hagel. Oh yeah, well, Hagel's phenomenal.
And so his fire kind of made up for it a little bit. But yeah, Point's got to. He's got to be one of their top scorers. I mean, that's what he's paid to do.
I mean, if you can get Point going, like he has in the past, then that top line of Cooch, Point, and Gensel. Then you got Cirelli, Hagel on the second line. Probably, I'm going to guess Gonsalves starts there. And he's shown he can play with those top guys, either one of those two lines. And if he struggles a little bit, then maybe a Dominic James goes up there, maybe an Ilya Mikheyev. Then you've got the Gord, Holmberg, Gergenson's line. Although that could get shuffled a little bit too, we'll see.
I just think Point wasn't as effective on the power play. I think a lot of his juice comes from that.
Yeah, he wasn't. I mean, he definitely didn't have the power play points in that. And I think part of it is a lot of teams are shading for him. Like,
yeah, they see that.
They have
bumper.
basically said
they've taken away that little bumper from Kucherov feeding them.
Right, which is why Radish was so effective, because they were crammed in.
They were packed down there.
Yep. But on 5-on-5 play, Point was not what he normally is.
No, he wasn't. He really was. I wonder if he was hurt more than we realized too.
I'm guessing there's some of it.
Who knows?
Yep.
These guys.
Sometimes you have those years.
Play a lot of hockey and you just have a down year at some point.
I mean, sometimes you wonder. And I remember this was years ago. Andre Palat had a bad year. Just had a year he just struggled. And later we learned that he worked out differently that summer and put on some extra weight and muscle, and it affected his game. It changed his game.
That happens in every sport. There were guys. Warren Sapp did that after he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Because I remember having this conversation. We were about 3 weeks in, and he didn't have any sacks, and he was close to a few quarterbacks, but he didn't get them on the ground. And I said to Tony Dungy, I go, why do you think Warren's off to a slow start? He goes, well, he weighs, whatever it was, 325 or 330 or whatever. And I said, well, that's like 10 pounds more than last year. And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, why is that? He goes, well, he thinks it helps him stop the run. And I said, well, what do you think? He goes, I think he should be back to where he was before when he was quicker. And I was like, well, you're the coach, And me and Sapp got into it because I wrote this story about him, adding weight or whatever. And he didn't talk to me for like 8 weeks. He didn't talk to anybody. But guys sometimes do that. Like they try stuff, Now, in that case, it might have just been that he, went on the rubber chicken tour and collected too many trophies or something. But guys do try to, different training methods, and it doesn't work. And they got to go back to the old ones. And
we even saw back with Stamkos, when he had a couple seasons, he was struggling some.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, his career's over. And then he went into one off season healthy, and he came out the next year on fire.
Yeah, because if you don't have to rehab in your training, that's a big difference.
And that's what he ultimately said. He goes, there's a difference on the summer rehabbing and training. And
we're going to see that with Chris Godwin this year.
This summer, I got to train. Yeah. Well, and right now, Godwin's about the only.
He looks great out there.
Yeah, he's about the only healthy starting receiver out there. But
yeah, true.
But when you get to train instead of rehab, it's completely different.
It's a totally different thing. Yeah. So hopefully, Point will be healthy to do that. He'll get with Cooch. Everything's good. So exciting time. Still love October when you have everything going at once. Baseball playoffs. Hockey's started up, and you got college football. We're 1 week from week 0. Next week is week 0.
That is correct.
How about that?
Florida State will be taking on New Mexico State.
College football. Oh boy, I tell you. I love it, man.
And
I love that first Saturday when I get to hear game day and more of Pat McAfee and Nick Saban.
You mean the Pat McAfee Network? That's what ESPN. It used to be the Stephen A. Network. Now it's the Pat McAfee Network.
It's actually the two of them have split it pretty evenly, I think. Stephen A. gets the basketball side, and Pat gets everything
But I mean,
else.
Pat's now on what, Monday Night Countdown?
He's now going to be part of the Monday Night Countdown, yeah. Like, I don't see enough of them. My son's going to love it, you know. And I love Pat. I mean, Pat's had me on a bunch of times. I couldn't do it.
You know. Now, you better hope that Baker doesn't sign a contract. Otherwise, those guys are going to forget you exist.
You know, there's a chance Pat calls me tomorrow and wants to talk about Vita Vea.
I'm sure there is.
There's definitely a chance.
And then as soon as Baker signs his contract, they'll forget you exist. So,
yes. Much like Dan Patrick. May I rest in peace on that show.
All of them, you know. Rich
Tom
Eisen,
Brady,
all those guys.
They forgot me as soon as Tom left town.
Yeah.
But that's just Tampa can't have nice things.
No.
I think we've established this.
Yes.
Now, can they have a World Series team? That's what I want to know.
No, they're the best team in the American League still.
I know.
5-game lead still on the Yankees.
And they've carried that mantle for a little bit. And they've been the best team in the American League East almost from the beginning. So, ain't no fluke now, man.
Let's see. We got, 36 games left?
That's all? Yeah. We're coming down to the nitty-gritty. That last week's going to be fun when they got 4 in New York and 2 in Philly. Hopefully you got a 5 or 6 game lead.
Hopefully the division's clinched by then, and then
that's what you're counting on.
And you don't even have to set up your rotation at that point, because if you clinch your division,
you get a bye.
The season ends on Sunday. You don't play your first game till that next Saturday.
That's awesome. And you know, everybody's like, "Whoa, rust versus what?" Listen, you need the rest. Like, you don't need to be playing. I never bought that. It's like the team that's you forget. It's kind of like football. Like the wild card teams. Boy, you know that Cardinal team really had a great first week of the wild card. Look out for them. They're going to wreck everybody's season. It's like, no, because the guys sitting home, they're better. Yeah, That's why they're not playing today.
But in baseball, the teams with the byes have not done well in this playoff format.
No, they have not. And, you know, that might be part of that might be just the nature of the sport. Like, you know, you play every rhythmic, single day.
Yeah, you play every day. Like,
and you're not idle. You're not taking days off and taking batting practice and going, yeah, we got a game like a week from Sunday. Like,
yep,
that normally doesn't happen. So you're kind of out of your rhythm. But football, you know, the better teams get the rest. And in that game, rest means everything. Fresh legs, heal up the bruises, like, there's a definite advantage. I don't think rust is as big a part of that as it is, say, maybe baseball. But we'll see. Been a great year so far. Been very enjoyable to watch. Okay, I'll be at $1 Place. We're going to talk to Vita Vea after he signs his mega deal, 2 years, and a whole lot of change coming with that contract. Something like $48 million. Not bad.
So you're saying he's buying dinner?
Shoot, yeah, for everybody. He's buying it for everybody, and ice cream and dessert and all of that. So we'll have a chance to talk to him. And the Rays back in action as well. We'll talk about that. Make sure you get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. It's where you find the beautiful NFL watches while supplies last. Team watches, 32 of them for men, women's watches as well. It is Breitling Boutique. Let them know when you go, please, that you heard about it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, everybody. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day.